welcome to episode 27 of the SWR Darts Coaching Podcast with me, Sean, a full-time professional PDPA qualified darts coach. Thank you once again for clicking on and listening to me ramble on about my darts coaching experiences. But I have rambled on over the last few episodes and saying that I'm going to get a guest on. Now, the last couple of episodes, I've started to dive into the mindset a little bit of darts, and I think that's what we're going to do for the next few episodes as well. But I'm absolutely delighted to say that in today's episode, I got the chance to sit down for about half an hour, 40 minutes with Alice Pinion. Now, you may never have heard of Alice Pinion, but let me tell you now, Alice is absolutely fantastic at what she does, and she helps darts players. She helps darts players of all different levels and abilities. And I'm hoping that today, my chat with Alice is going to help you just stop peeling your onion back a little bit of your darts game. Alice runs, she's got her own website, Head First Sports Performance. It's all about the mind coaching and everything. It's not necessarily hypnotherapy as well, but she does dive into that as well. Alice is also the author of two books. The first one is the Essential Sporting Mind Toolkit, which I highly recommend. And the other book that she's done is the new one that's just recently released, which I've got my signed copy here, The Match Dart Mindset. Both books are obviously available to purchase via our website, and obviously I'm going to put some links down in the description here that you can buy from Amazon and places as well. And honestly, if you are a dart player and you're looking to start understanding a little bit more about your mindset, I highly encourage you to purchase these books, but also listen to the next 30 to 40 minutes of this podcast, because me and Alice do go in depth on what the mindset is for a dart player. I dealt with Alice years ago. I don't deny it. I went to Alice to help me with my darts game, to try and help me understand, as a coach, why am I not becoming the better player because I'm a coach? But I've dealt with all my issues now that I had around then, and I feel I'm in a much better place. And I credit everything to Alice. So it made more sense than anything for me to ask her to come on my podcast. And thankfully, she said yes. So the next 30 to 40 minutes is me chatting to Alice. We recorded this the other day. So I hope you enjoy this. After the chat, I'm going to come back and obviously I'm going to do my wrap-up of what's been going on in my darts coaching over the last month, as well as this month's training game of the month. So I hope you enjoy this chat with me and Alice about the darts mindset. I'm delighted today to introduce onto the podcast Alice Pinion. Alice is someone who I've worked with in the past. And I just want to say, before I go any further into this, Alice, I want to say a massive thank you to you, by the way. I think I spoke with you about 2 years ago. I think it was back end of 24, maybe into 25. And I can't explain to you how much you helped me with my sort of darts game and splitting Sean the dart player from Sean the darts coach. And I just want to say a massive thank you on record for what you did for us back then, because it really, really helped me. But welcome to the podcast, Alice Pinion.
Lovely. It's a privilege to be here, Sean. Fantastic. And thank you for the thanks. That's very kind of you. But yeah, you're a delight to work with, obviously.
I really appreciate that. No, honestly, I mean, I think I remember at the time I was struggling with my game as a dart player. I'm trying to use the philosophy all the time, players play, coaches coach. But I do like to go and have a few games. And I think it was the way that we went around the chat that we had, that when I came away from that, I was like, everything you said related massively to what I knew, but I couldn't sort of put into context. Honestly, it was a real massive thanks for me. But for anyone who's probably unaware of you, just give us a little bit of an intro about yourself, what you do, and how you got into what you do.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you. So, presently I am primarily a sports psychologist or sports mind coach, same thing. And I work with an awful lot of darts players. I am a dedicated Target Darts, you might have heard of them, sports psychologist. So I work with the pros and the elite ones and anybody else in the world as well. So I also work for other management companies too. They kind of sign me up and hire me and put their players to me. me. But I am a all sports, not just darts, sports psychologist, but I'm also a therapist, and that's how I got into the sports psychology. So out of a very convoluted route, I won't give you my full CV, but I came out of a very randomly chosen science degree when I was much younger, many, many years ago now. I don't quite know why I did that, but went into some kind of like corporate pharma type jobs and couldn't cope with the sort of boring end of the spectrum and ended up doing people stuff, and then went round the houses of that for a few years, one way and another, and then found, because I needed it, as often is the case, I needed my own help, and then thought, wow, this therapy lark's brilliant. And then I did that as a job and turned it into a business and got all the training and but I was always had my head turned by the performance side, which is really sport as well. And again, being quite selfish, I got into the sports side because I suddenly, in my mid-30s, long time ago now, got into some sport very late in life, really, and needed to sort my own head out for sure. So I thought, well, this is a remarkably sidestep similar to what I'm doing with therapy, but for performance, and studied it, applied it to myself, and then was applying that with all of the people in my club and people I knew. And then again, that became its own business in its own right. So there's a tremendous crossover between looking after the whole person, therapy, I suppose, and the sports side of life. And, they're inextricable. So cutting long story short, the sports side of things is really my passion. And I've been doing that for, goodness gracious, now a long time, since 2010, the sports stuff. Wow. So it's quite a few number of years now. Yeah. So that's how I got to where I am now.
Well, I mean, I remember my days when, I was in football before I came to darts, and, sort of sports science was really coming through at that time. And I remember working at the various clubs that I was at, and it wasn't really touched on quite a lot. I think back then, around, like you say, around the sort of time, the early 2012s, around that, you wouldn't talk to a therapist, or you wouldn't go and see, a sports scientist, for instance. But I know now all football clubs have got them. Yeah. It doesn't matter what level that club is. If it's a non-league club, I know a couple of non-league clubs that have got them, on hand within the club system. But obviously, you mentioned there, obviously got into the darts. Obviously, that's how I come across you and what have you. How did it happen, though? I mean, did a dart player approach you and then you sort of went, oh, this is different?
Yeah. So I had worked with a number of darts players over the years since starting the sports psychology, because obviously, you would. But I took a phone call from, again, the lady you may have heard of, Lorraine Winstanley. Mm-hmm. Yes, a former world number one. And she was calling me on behalf of Target Darts because she was assigned to find people to look after psychologically, especially the elite ones, the younger ones coming through, but also to support the existing pros with their mind game. So Target, a number of years ago, I think back in pandemic time, it's that long ago, they were looking to really support all of their players in a far more professional level. So I think that James Tattersall in Target, he was looking to bring more of what from his experience was from a rugby background, which is a whole athlete player support system, to darts, which wasn't there, obviously. So sponsorship was there, equipment was there, money was there for players, but the psychological support amongst other support wasn't. So Lorraine called me up and I started working with the up and comings and some of the pros if they wanted to. It's very much on a personal elective basis. And as you can imagine, there's an old school way where they're just not interested in that psychobabble. And then there's the younger generation, or slightly more open-minded older ones, who are just like all over it. And it's gone from strength to strength now. And as you know, darts has obviously exploded partly due to Luke Littler. And obviously now I'm very deeply entrenched in supporting hundreds of very, very good darts players of all ages, including a lot of, enormous amount of the academies, the darts youth academies around the country as well, which not just Target Darts, but many of the others as well. Mm.
No, I know. Obviously, we've had him on before, Brian Ivy from Poison Ivy Darts, very good close friend of mine. I know Brian, you know, he sings your praises and he has you doing sessions with them fairly regular. And I've spoken to other darts players as I've been travelling the country over the last few months as well, in my role as going to other academies. And I know there's a lot of people out there that always mention you. You're always sort of the one that people talk about, because I think, when I started coaching, I never really touched on the mental side of the game. I never did, and I admit that. And obviously, after speaking with yourself, I started to look into it. I've done a few courses now online. I haven't got time to go to staff's uni. I'd like to go to university, of course, because I like the way they drink. I think it might suit me. But no, I've started looking into it myself because I think it is about expanding the mind. I think as a dart player, there's that. You've just said it there, I think, on the head. There's the older statesman dart player who's like, nah, it's more about just the throw. And then you've got the younger player who probably just wants to throw, but then wants to know more about what he's doing wrong. And it's not always about the mechanics. It's sometimes more or less, it's about the mindset. Yeah. Is that sort of way you're finding it sometimes with players?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the mechanics is important, and the mind messes with that. So really what I spend most of my days doing is teaching people how not to have their physical throw affected by what they're thinking, and not only to avoid the problems of often self-imposed pressure, but also say suddenly you get signed by somebody or sponsored by somebody, then the pressure to perform ramps up as well. But even if you're not signed and just pub player, you don't want to look like a Burke in front of your mates and let the team down. Okay, so what we do here is we end up either falling foul of the worry and the what if I mess up type thoughts, and I don't want to let the side down, or we can actually end up thriving by saying the correct stuff, which corrects the negative stuff, but also improves and pimps and hones the way that you throw. So that you can, stop failing on match day, which is probably the biggest problem that I see that's presented, is practice game doesn't translate to matches. Okay, that's probably the top of the list.
If only we had £1 for every time we hear it, eh?
Exactly. But two, you can actually bring you on a good day to the board way more often. But you've also got to just be a bit realistic. And as you know, even the best players in the world miss, otherwise we'd be playing like robots, and it would be like, chess with a computer. The computer's got it down, and there's not a tremendous amount of psychology involved in that. There's a lots of technique, but that I think darts is heavily psychologically influenced. But you've got to have talent, you've got to put the hard work in with practice. The masses and masses of mental mess up potential by psyching yourself out more than anything. Yeah, and that's what I help people undo.
No, I love that. And I think, again, I got back to what I said at the start of this. I think that's what you did with myself.
Yeah.
I've got my own little routine that I won't share with anybody else. I mean, obviously, what we spoke about, I've created this little routine in my head, and it works for me as I go up there. But I do it with other players. I always talk to them about, there's the time at the oche, and then there's the time not at the oche, which is in your prep area. You've got your prep area, which is about 1.6 meters away from that oche line. And that's where you want to be telling yourself the confident things. Negativity breeds negativity is one phrase I must say every day in my sessions to people. That you've just hit a bad score. You get them darts out the dartboard, you rip them out. All of a sudden, your body language is all showing that you're not happy. You're about to go and punch a table, or you're about to go away and have a go at someone. Why? Get back in that prep area and just prepare for your next three. Go back through a nice rhythm. Start telling yourself confident things. Make sure that vision alignment's in there. Stay confident, and then approach the oche again with a better approach than what you could have gone in with. And I suppose that's what you, like you just said there, that you see quite often. The phrase you just said, I can't take my practice game, or as I like to call it, my training game, to the board. And a lot of the time is because that when we're training, you may agree or may disagree with me, they're not even thinking about it. They just want to throw darts.
Spot on.
And again, I look at the youth players that are coming through now. I was at an academy not too long ago, about a month ago, and this lad must have wanted to throw nearly 1,000 darts. It was a rush of everything. and he was getting frustrated. And I just went over and I went, at what point are you allowing yourself time to sort of digest what we've just done, but also give yourself time to go, actually, okay, they were 3 good darts. I was really happy with them. I love that. Now I'm happy. Let's go again. And he was like, no, just go back in. So, yeah, I think obviously one of my comments was going to be what's one of the most common things that gets said to you when you arrive. And I presume that is the most common.
Yeah, definitely. And there's an awful lot to it. And most of it is what you've already just pertained to, which is when you're chilled out, practicing, training, whatever you want to call that, just throwing darts at home or whatever, you're relaxed and mentally quite calm. And it's almost, the wrong phrase, but it sums it up. It's got, thoughtless darts playing. There's not a lot going on in your noodle. Okay. And then what happens is when you get to matches is you massively overthink. So you start to think and distract yourself, quite literally, you're distracting yourself. And often the thoughts are a little bit bothersome. They're worried. They're what if I fluff up, or how am I going to do this? Or you start to over control your throw, which is exaggerated version of that creates dartitis. And or you start to, your focus goes elsewhere because you're thinking about who you're going to play next. You're doing impossible things like worrying about the last few darts that you just missed, which is kind of getting all wrapped up in history. It's already done. And the other impossible thing we do is we worry and stress about what's in the future. And what I mean by impossible is you can't predict the future. So why are you saying, oh, well, if I miss this, I'm going to lose the whole match? Well, you don't know that. So you're better off just being what I call fairly neutral and in the moment, a bit Zen Buddhist man, where you're just in the moment and focused and calm. And that's the art of best darts, is not to get emotional, wound up, wind yourself up, or anything else which can then affect your physical movement. Okay, because any sort of like wind up or even excitability, like I say in my book somewhere or other about the 9 darter effect. Everybody who throws a 9 darter then can't throw the next 3 darts for toffee because of adrenaline that comes. It's a good adrenaline, not a bad problem to have. It's excitement in the system as opposed to frustration or annoyance or even nerves as well. So, I mean, nerves is probably the other, debilitating nerves, which will make you sweaty-handed, tremble, and so forth. Is probably the very close second thing that I help with. Very physical adrenaline effects whilst playing, which again, as you can imagine, makes life difficult.
But very much so. And again, like I say, I see it all the time. I remember the things that we spoke about. I always try and give I'm going to say the phrase uneducated opinion on this one, because obviously I've got the working understanding of, from talking with yourself and obviously the bits and bobs I've done on the study. But then you tell them that and they're like, oh, yeah, right, I never realised that. And the one you just touched on there is the one I always laugh about. You've thrown 3 darts. It's landed in big 1, big 5. If I offer you 1.21 gigawatts and a DeLorean, you're not going to go back in time to throw them 3 darts again. You're probably going to go back to another time in your life to change something. I certainly know I'd go back to my days at school and not take GCSE German just because I fancied a girl who took GCSE German. And unfortunately, she turned me down. But that's beside the point. But I'd go back and make sure I didn't do GCSE German because I can't speak a word of it. But it's all that process of like, oh, we're throwing 3 bad darts. I want them again. Well, no, you've boxed them off. You've got to box them off now. Don't let them affect your next 3 darts. And I think from what I see a lot with darts players, that's something that tends to happen a hell of a lot. That we keep the remembrance of the past, i.e. them last 3 darts, which then will affect our future because we're still thinking about it. Whereas we don't know what's going to come in the future. So let's just get a fresh mind and a fresh approach to it. And one thing you did mention there, obviously, I've got both books, so I absolutely love them. I'm looking forward to taking your latest one away with me again on holiday to read it again. But you've got 2 books out. The Essential Sporting Mind Toolkit, which was your first one, if I'm right.
Yeah.
And then the Match Dart Mindset. Just talk to me about how that come around. How did you decide to write some books?
Yeah, so back in sort of 2014, if I remember rightly, I was working obviously with a lot of sports psychology people, and I was just thinking, well, I'm often going through the same basics. This is the Essential Sporting Mind Toolkit, the first book. the red one. And I was going through the similar basics with every sport, it didn't matter what it was. And I just thought, oh, hang on a minute, I might as well collate what I generally do in the first few sessions with people, so that it's sort of palatable, readable, and out there. I'm certainly not trying to make money out of books, okay? It was just literally, let's have something that people who can't afford to have sessions one-to-one as well can access. The book's under a tenner, for God's sake, and it's on Kindle, which is often free. And eventually, a few years later, I recorded the audio book, which again with Audible is again for some people free, but essentially, or it's very cheap anyway. So it was just collating everything together so that I could either give to clients before I work with them the book to read, and it's very small. Both of my books are short and as concise as reasonably possible, because I don't want to bore the living daylights out of people. I'm a bit of a nerd, okay, and I get bored reading all these bloody tomes that people publish. They're just padding and full of the same fluff and nonsense, and I fall asleep reading them. And I'm interested in the subject, right?
Yeah.
and have done academics, forced myself to do academic study for years. And I'm like, I don't want that. I want something that's practical, applicable, that cuts to the chase and just gives you the way of fixing things. So I just kind of condensed what I did with people and put it in the first book. Obviously, there's quite a long gap between writing the darts book. Very recently, I wrote that during last year predominantly, which took ages because I'm so busy. But and I got seriously nagged for publishing it. But these things take time. But ultimately, obviously, I was working with so many darts players, and it just made sense. And I've been asked many times, did I have anything that was sort of easy to absorb, that was general? And again, it's accessible. At the moment, there's paperback and Kindle version, and I will eventually record an audio version. I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I will. And again, it was just right. I need to collate everything that I've been doing with players to again reach out to more people, and it's gone down very well. And I think that Target Darts buy them in bundles as well for their new signings, their new academy signings also. So it's selling really well. Not that that's that important, but essentially, it's popular, and it's also for the likes of yourselves, you coaches out there, because obviously I work with a lot of coaches too, because you've got your own unique challenges, and you guys are out there delivering the message that I'm putting out. I can only see one person at a time, and I know you can see several, especially if either one-to-one coaching like you are now, or if you do group workshops yourself, so it's spread the love, really. That's where it's at. It's nothing to do with my ego or my bank balance, that's for sure. It is share the love. The other thing was there wasn't anything like it out there.
No, I agree, and I think when I saw, I think it was on LinkedIn that I saw you were doing another book straight away. I was like, oh, this is going to be gold. It's going to be dynamite. And I just need to apologise in case anyone heard my dog on the audio. He's decided to just start barking for no reason. A bit of wind must have gone past the house. But when I saw it, I was like, this is going to be gold and dynamite. And obviously, when I got a copy and I read it through, I don't normally read. I will be honest, admit that I'm terrible. What you said about the books, there's some of the books that I got asked to read as part of some of the courses I've done. I'm like, oh dear. And you get to page 57 and you're like, he still hasn't got to the point of this book yet. Whereas I think your books hit the point straight away. They sort of, like you say, they open the mind to what we're going to be talking about straight away. And I think the second book, like I say, I want to get my head back into it again, because I went through it the first time with such excitement to read it, and it was. And I always promote it in my sessions, and afterwards I have. And also on my website there'll be links. Now this podcast is live. There's links on there for people to go and get it off Amazon and Audible and everything as well. But yeah, you're right. It's a massive resource for us coaches to use, because we've got the working understanding of the game, but it's the mindset that sometimes lets a lot of us down. And I've always joked that we can help players till the cows come home in a way with their throw. Everyone wants to throw straight, but it's the mindset of also understanding how to throw straight, which can sometimes elude them. So just out of curiosity, I mean, obviously, like I say, you've got your two books out there now. Any plans for another one down the line, or are you just staying cool with 2 at the moment?
There's always plans, and I haven't started another one yet. But literally, I'm just overwhelmed with actually working with players at the moment. However, any suggestions for what you'd like in another darts book would be welcome. So I was letting people sit and read with and put into practice the stuff from the match dart. It's only a few weeks out, really. It's only came out in March, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think it was about 2 months ago. Yeah.
So I tend to sort of get quite a bit of feedback from these things, which is great, and then collate it, and it tends to shape what people want for another one. There's also other sports books to write, but I'm not so invested, or I'm not specializing in other sports necessarily at this stage. I have my own personal interest sport, but I haven't felt the need to apply myself to that. But also it's just down to time. So currently no new books on the horizon, in short. But never say never.
Never say never, indeed. I like that. I love that. Right, it's that time of my podcast. When I ever get someone who comes on the podcast, and I did pre-warn you in a way of this one, I like to do a little bit of Big Six. Now, everyone, darts players, will probably be aware of Big Six. This has nothing to do with the darts Big Six. This is my randomness of Big Six. I'm going to ask you 6 random questions, and all I want you, I think when I did this with Sam Squire, I think I said to Sam, I said, you've got to give me your instant answer. And most of them were like, what? So I'm not going to do that with you, Alice. I just want, obviously, whatever you feel is your answer for this. But you could get judged. That's all I'm going to say. Depending on your answer, you could get judged, couldn't you?
Happens all the time. I don't care.
I know where you're coming from. Depending on what your answer to this first question is going to be, I might be judging you myself. So here's me Big Six randomness.
Yeah.
Question number 1.
Yeah.
What's your favourite meal in a Wetherspoon?
That's easy. Full English breakfast.
Great choice. Great choice.
Yeah.
I'm tapping my chest. You can't go wrong. Now, are you talking traditional, or would you go large?
Oh, it depends on the day. If I'm feeling hungry, I don't get hungry very well, so I would go large, and I'd probably eat more than my other half, and he's a lot bigger than I am. But I would go traditional if I was trying to be good.
No, absolutely spot. I've also now started having the breakfast wrap in the afternoon. When I've been popping. I was in a Wetherspoon a few weeks ago, and just me being me, I was like, oh, fancy some teeth. I knew the breakfast had finished, so I had the breakfast wrap in the afternoon. There are other places you can go for breakfast, my mum keeps telling me, but I don't believe that's true. Next question. If you could visit one place and stay there for a month, where would it be?
That's easy. Thailand.
Lovely.
Yeah. Thailand, sunshine, beaches, great food. What more do you need?
Well, what you just said there, sunshine, beaches, great food, just sounds like Bridlington for me, that does. But again, I think my missus would disagree with me on that one. She probably would like to go somewhere hot and nice like that. I'm taking Bridlington this year on holiday. If you could change one thing about public transport, what would it be and why?
I would like public transport to run later, because you tend to use it because you're going out for a night out and you have a couple of glasses of something, and then you can't get home using it. So trains, buses, whatever. Really, it would be nice if they ran later. So it's no bloody good if it finishes at 9 o'clock, is it? That's not a night out, is it?
No, I totally agree with you. I was in our local town a few weeks ago. I'd come back on train. I got into the town. I went shockingly into the Wetherspoons. Probably had a breakfast wrap at about 8:30 in the evening, and then went outside. And next thing I know, the last bus went at something like 7:10.
Yeah,
I was like,
okay. No good.
So I'm loving that.
Piece that, yeah.
Which probably leads me into the next random question that's been generated for me. Long walks or call the Uber?
Oh, definitely long walks. Yeah, I have been known to walk back many miles from said night out destinations as well, which makes the hangover a bit less bad the next day.
No comment.
Sound like
I agree
I'm
with you.
Alcoholic, don't I?
I can't say anything. I've ticked off at over 200 Wetherspoons, so I can't say anything. Least favourite sport to watch and why?
Right, I'm not gonna pick on any sport, but I'm going to pick on an aspect of one sport, right?
Love that.
So what I really, really hate is the dramatic "I've hurt myself" nonsense in football. It must have been in drama school for a few weeks to study how to fake it. Well, it's actually they're not very good, so I probably haven't. But I'm all for a bit of sporting gamesmanship across sport, but it's verging on cynical for me, the cynical play. So this like, oh, he vaguely came near me and I've broken my leg, and you get the outcome from the ref that you want, and then you sprint off into the sunset for the next bit of plays. It makes me struggle to watch football nowadays, and I don't remember it being anywhere near as bad back in the day, a few decades ago. It ruins the game for me personally. Yeah, watching them rolling around, being drama queens. Professional football, drama queening does my nut in. So there you go.
I 110% agree with you on that one. I remember this particular season we played, I think it was Swindon at home, and a player went down in front of where I stand at Crewe, and he's there riding on the floor like you just said, And I remember turning around going, "Oof, this is bad, this is." And then he looked across at the crowd and winked.
No way.
He's there holding his knee as if his knee's gone. And he looks up at us lot because we were like, "Come on," and all that. Next thing you know, he's winking at us because he got up perfectly fine and went away. So
it doesn't give a good message to the kids, does it?
Not one bit. And I think that's the thing. That's all I've always used to say when I was involved in football, lads. Unless you don't think you can walk it off, don't go down.
Yeah, yeah.
And the last one of the randomness. What's your worst TV program at the moment?
The news.
I don't think you'll find anyone who'll disagree.
Yeah. I don't watch a tremendous amount of telly, to be fair, apart from sport. I'm like a professional spectator because I'm constantly watching people that I'm working with. But yeah, I think, you look to try and keep up with what's happening at the time and just watch the news and go, what on earth did I do that for? Yeah, so there you go.
If you ever want to be locked away in a room, you can just watch the news and it'll do it for you. Without a shadow of a doubt. Alice, I love that. Thank you very much for taking part in that 6 randomness there. So we'll wrap the podcast up. Let me ask you the question so you can tell everyone where can they find you and what social channels are best to look across.
Yeah. So my website is headfirstsportsperformance.co.uk, and so you can check it out there. Also on Facebook, if you just put Alice Pinion in or Head First in, you'll find me. Or on Instagram, equally, if you put Head First Sporting Mind in, you'll find me there too. And you can contact me through any of those to have a chat. By the way, I always offer a free initial consult for anybody who wants to work one-to-one. So that's just a video or phone call, so we can work out what needs to be done, and there's no pressure or obligation to book in. It's just if you think you've got issues and you're not sure if I can help, drop me an email or arrange that chat.
That's wonderful. I'm going to throw all the links down below on the podcast. Obviously, now I'm on Spotify. As most people will probably listen to this. I'll also do the same with the YouTube. I still don't know how I managed to get it to go from Spotify to YouTube. I pressed some at one day and it happened. So hopefully all them links will follow across. I genuinely don't know what I did. Next thing you know, I've just got all my podcast episodes on YouTube. I was well chuffed. Trying to get it on Apple, I've given up. I've just given up on that one. Alice, once again, I just want to thank you, not just from myself for helping me, as I said, all them years ago, but for your time today and to come on and just give that insight into what you do and how you can help players. It's something that I'm trying to push through my podcast last couple of episodes, talking about the mindset of darts. I do think there's still a barrier for us as coaches, certainly to hit and break down when it comes to helping players with their throw. But I do think there's a bigger barrier for coaches and possibly for yourself in a way to get the players to want to go and start breaking down that mental side of the darts game as well. And I encourage any player who's probably listening to this podcast today to click on the links and visit my website, where I'm going to have a link that will go through so they can purchase the books from you, because I do think they will massively help any darts player out there, no matter of your age or ability. I think what you've offered is massively can help anyone. So once again, I just want to thank you for your time today, and thank you for everything.
That's a pleasure. Oh, and thank you for contributing to the book, Sean.
Yes, it was rather when I showed my missus was like, well, "Is that you?" I went, no, there's someone else out there called Sean from SWR Darts Coaching. But no, honestly, it was great to get that email from you saying, would you like to put a thing across? And I was like, yeah, I love that. And obviously, I've got a signed copy. That's the best thing. I've actually brought another copy. I won't lie to you. I've got my signed copy, and I've actually brought another copy because that's the one I use more. It'll be thumbed more, shall we say, in the coaching sessions down at the new hub, which I'm going to talk about after this on this podcast. So, but I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much once again.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
So I hope you enjoyed that chat that I had with Alice the other day. And I think for me, it was great again just to have a chat with her. We spoke after we recorded this podcast. We were probably talking for about another 10, 15 minutes. And it's absolutely wonderful to finally get a guest on the podcast as well, but someone who can help you very much so with the mindset. As I say, I'm going to leave all the links to Alice's websites and everything in the description of this on Spotify, and if you're watching on YouTube, there'll be links there as well. But if you want to go and find Alice, it's alicepinion.co.uk, or you can head over to headfirstsportperformance.co.uk. You can find her across both of them sites. She's also across social media as well. And I highly recommend to you, if that's something of interest to you, please head over and get chatting to her. She's absolutely the best at what she does. Okay, so for those who follow me online, you are going to know that I have moved premises. Yes, SWR Darts Coaching. I've been in my premises now since 2023, I think it was. I originally moved to my premises due to the fact that I was using pubs and clubs, and it was just not what I wanted. It's not the way I wanted to take my business. And over the last 6 months, I've had a few issues with where my premises are. I've had issues with the people I rent it from, who are the council. And I'm not going to go into the full SB here on the podcast, but it's been a nightmare. And I've now got new premises, and I'm moving. By the time this podcast has come out, I will be in my new premises, which I'm really excited about. In these new premises, though, I'm also going to start doing loads of new stuff. So before, I've always had my three sort of areas that I've coached. So the junior players, and then, the youth players, and then adult players. But I've noticed now that I'm getting a lot of young adults coming through for coaching as well. So I've offered that now. So when you go on my website now, you can book the junior sessions, which are for 7 to 11-year-olds. Okay, in these sessions, we are literally having fun. We're going to make darts fun. They're going to do my Dart Stars game, my JDM, Junior Darts Masters. We're going to do all these fun games. Okay. Next after that is the youth session. So this is the 12 to 15s. The 12 to 15s, we're going to dive in the game a little bit more. We're going to try and get a little bit more out of your time with me at the hockey. Okay. Then we've got the young adult. These are new sessions that I've added in now, the young adult sessions. So these are for anyone who's age 16 and 17. By this point, I'm guessing you've got a great grasp of the game of darts anyway. So I'm going to probably push you a little bit more in them sessions. But again, it's all about going through what we're looking at, the fundamentals and the basics, understanding what we do and why we do it. And then, of course, there's still the adult sessions on there. Now, I'm not 100% certain the date of this podcast release, but I'm doing a May Madness. So all the way through May, I'm going to be doing a May Madness whereby some prices are cheaper than what they're advertised. So if this comes out and it's still May, which I think it's going to be, head over to my website and find out, because you might be able to book in advance at a good cheap rate as we stand and as this podcast comes out. But of course, always go and check the prices. I'm a bit daft sometimes and I do flash sales. So it's always worth going through to the end phase just to see what the price is. But again, darts coaching in my new premises, what's going to be the difference than where I am now? Well, I'm hoping I'm going to have more technology available to me. I'm going to be offering a few more Darts Academy training sessions up there as well. So I can get a few more of the youngsters in to go through academy training like I used to do with my academy back in the day. I'm also now travelling out to more academies across the country as part of my work with Unicorn. And I'm looking forward to meeting more people while I'm out on the road and helping more people with their darts game and getting a better understanding of what we do and why we do it. So, if anything I've just said there makes it interesting for you and you want to come find out about a bit of darts coaching with me, head to the website, swrdartscoaching.co.uk. You can also find on there now my darts gym sessions as well. Now, my gym sessions aren't really coaching. They are more about training, as is my online gym. So my online gym is about you coming to me on the camera via the internet, and we do a training session together on the internet. And of course, in that training session, I'm going to be going over what I see that you do. But of course, with a camera, I'm limited to what I can talk to you about, and I'm limited what we can actually do. But the gym sessions, some people found them really helpful, so head over there and find them as well. Okay, last part of the podcast, the part of the podcast that I do now all the time. I just picked a training game from my website, and it's the darts practice game number 90. I still haven't changed them all over. It's on the bucket list. The 10 Lives of a Dart Player. This is a really good game, and I enjoy this training session, but it does take a while. I will warn you, it can take a while. So there's 4 challenges. In each one, you've got 10 lives. And of course, if you pass the challenge and you've still got lives intact, you then basically have them lives as points almost, if you will. But if you use all your lives, then unfortunately, we've lost all our lives on that. We get no points. So 10 lives each challenge. Challenge 1, though, we're looking to hit all 3 darts of a visit in the 20 section. But we've got to do it 4 times in a row. So effectively, you've got to come up and go a 20, a 20, a 20. Doesn't have to be a treble, can be a single. Any part of the 20 counts, but you've got to go 20, 20, 20. Next visit, 20, 20, 20. Same again, same again. When you've done it 4 times, if you've still got all your lives, so you've got 10 lives left, effectively you get 10 points. If you, say, only get 2, you'll then lose a life and you'd start again. So you've got to do it 4 times again. So if you ended up doing it, but you'd only got 3 lives left, you get 3 points. Challenge number 2. What we're doing in challenge number 2, we're looking to score 60 or more 4 times in a row. So again, we're aiming back up at the 20, but this time it's 60 or more. So if we hit a single 5 this time, well, we only need to score 55 more points. So we can then look to start switching if we need to. Whereas the first challenge is focusing solely on hitting the 20s, challenge 2 is more about a little bit of movement if we need it. So we've got to score 60 4 times in a row. Again, you've got 10 lives. Challenge number 3. This is the one where I change it up a little bit. We've now got to check out 60. Now, in my online version of this, it's a different number, and I'm not going to explain why, but it is. But in this one, it's challenge 3 is we've got to look to check out 60 4 times in a row. Theoretically, this could be where we're going to lose some of our lives. But again, why 60? Well, it's a good number checkout. But again, in my online version, I do it differently. But we get 10 lives, 60 4 times in a row. And we move to challenge 4, the toughest one of the lot. We've got to finish a game of 170, and I give you 9 darts. So I'm giving you 9 darts to finish 170. And again, it's got to be done 4 times in a row. So if you come up and you do 170 in one visit, happy days. But then you've got to do it 3 more times. And again, at the end of that, you'll see how many lives. If you've used all your lives, you get 0 points. So once you've done the 4 challenges, you'll see how many points you've got. And then what's the aim? Well, next time you come and do it a couple of days later, you can look back on that and go, right, I only got, say, 6 points. So let's see if I can get a few more points. You want to try and build up them early points at the start of these challenges, challenge 1 and 2. That's where you want to try and ramp up your points. Because challenge 3 and challenge 4 is potentially where we're going to lose the points. So then we need to get that little bit more focus on challenge 3 and challenge 4. But that's Darts Training Game. It does say Darts Practice, but that's Darts Training Game number 90 from our website, SWR Darts Coaching. If you click on the training library, you'll see it all there. But I do this in darts gym sessions with players as well. So if you book a darts gym session, there is a potential chance you might do this. So, I really hope you have enjoyed this episode 27. It's great to get a guest on, and once again, I want to thank Alice for her time. I really, really do appreciate her time on this podcast. I've already spoken to various other people, and over the next couple of podcasts, I'm also going to be getting coaches on from different sports. Now, why different sports? Because at the end of the day, everything that we coach, we can relate to other sports. So I've spoken to a tennis coach recently. That was quite interesting. I've spoken to a snooker coach, and he is going to be coming on one episode. And again, snooker and darts, eye coordination, accuracy, precision, We're all going to be in the same talking area here, as well as a golf coach. I'm going to get a golf coach on. And we're going to look at different aspects of how their mental game works and how we can relate it into darts as well. So that's going to be coming up in future episodes, all being well. I'm sorry this one's taken so long to come out as well. With my move and everything and other things, I just really put it on the back burner, and I'm so sorry about that. So you'll get this now in May, all being well. But the June episode will be out at the start of June, probably the first week of June. I'm going away, and I will record it while I'm away. That's my plan. So, thank you once again for listening. Don't forget, you can click on the links below to find Alice, find her website, and purchase the books that she spoke about. You can also visit my website. I'm going to have links on my website as well that you can go through, links on there. And if you're after one-to-one darts coaching with a PDPA qualified darts coach such as myself, head over to my website, swrdartscoaching.co.uk, and find me on there, and you can book your sessions. You can book well in advance on sessions as well. So all my availability is shown in my diary, in the booking diary. So you can actually book for all the way into July if you wanted. And of course, every session after June is going to be at my new premises, which I really, really can't wait to show people. Make sure you follow me on TikTok, because I'm doing a little bit of a vlog on TikTok, explaining what I'm having done in there, and all the new technology that I'm hoping to also add in as well. Thank you once again for listening. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, all of that stuff here on Spotify, on YouTube, or wherever you listen to this podcast. And I will look forward to speaking to you all in the next one. And everyone, just keep enjoying your darts, keep them straight, and keep smiling. Till the next one, folks, take care.